Hi, welcome back to the channel. This week we're taking a look at Synplant 2 from Sonic Charge. So Synplant 1 has been out for quite a few years now, and now they've just released Synplant 2 with some quite impressive AI technology. You will have noticed by the thumbnail that I am calling it the first stoner synth. And please be aware that I don't mean that disparagingly. And by that I mean it's a synth where you don't really have an end goal when using it. So with a conventional synth you have all the standard parameters, and the majority of us know typically how to manipulate those to get roughly the sound that we're after. Or we could potentially load up a preset and then customize that to our liking. However, with Synplant, the workflow is so bizarre and so out there, and it's all about experimentation. So just for a bit of background, for those who have been living under a rock who don't know how it works, essentially you have this orb here, and then you have a little seed here, and that seed, where you click it, will generate a random sound. So in the sequencer here, I have a D sharp. So if we extend this node on D sharp up here and play this back, we have this sound. Or we can manipulate that by dragging the branch back, extending it, so it's very, very easy to sit here for literally hours just clicking on random parameters until you find something that sounds good. But that there, I think, is the problem. Come up with a sound that you like within seconds, or other times it can take you hours. Potentially sometimes because you're getting distracted and just getting lost in what you're doing. Then once you have something that you kind of like the sound of, you can then plant that as a new seed, and that becomes the bass now. So that's changing a little bit slightly again, or you can extend it out to another one. Something like that is so completely different to A sharp. You got B. So let's say we like that one. Let's now do plant chosen seed. See, despite quite liking the sound before, even though I don't know how I'm going to fit it into the track, these sounds that I'm generating now are completely wacky. Not in a bad way, just I don't even know how I would come up with these in a conventional synth. But if you just want a sound effect and you've got no idea what you want it to sound like, you just want to experiment, well then Synplant's your answer, because you just start clicking on random parameters until you like something. But that can take hours if you're not lucky. But that was all essentially in version 1. However, version 2, there is quite an impressive artificial intelligence function, the Geno patch technology. So what this allows us to do is we can load in a sound. So if we go to here, I'm just going to pick one at random. Let's go, I want like a snare. So these are the Future Phonics packs. I'm just going to grab one at random, doesn't really matter. We drop that in. Now, if we play back the sound, that's the standard snare. We can then press these buttons and it will create different versions of that snare. So you can see here, as they move from this, they're getting further and further away from the original sound. So if we click on them, you can hear it's taken that sound and it has created variations of it. Some of them are not that good. Well, I should say not that different. Like these ones. Or we have ones like those which are completely different. So here's the thing. If you're replicating a sound from a synth, then I really don't see the point, because you have the synth already. So you may as well go back into the source and manipulate it at source. However, if you're just using a sample, like we just did there with the snare, sometimes it works better than others. And it's really just a case of trial and error as to whether that will work. Let's try another one. So the original sound, which is unmistakably a snare, but if we compare it to something like this, very different. So again, I come back to my original statement about it being a stoner synth, in that I had no idea what I was going to get from that. All I knew they would be different, and it's up to pure luck whether they work and whether I like any of these variations. So for example, this one, it sounds good. I might decide to use that or I might not. But again, I know it's like a broken record. It's pure luck whether that sound works or not, whether that time that I've just spent with the synth was productive or not. If I was trying to actually get work done, it would be immensely frustrating. If I was stoned, or if I didn't care whether I was being productive and just sitting here with a joint in my mouth, then I'm quite happily going to sit here for hours just pressing random buttons. But with all that said, let's try and do something creative with it. Something intentionally creative. So let's bin that. I'm going to go to my Vinderloop's top loop pack. Let's just grab the top one, drop him in. This is how it sounds raw. So it's just a 150 BPM top loop. Now let's create some variations on that. So that one is completely different, as is that. So all very different. Now let's go back into the main screen we have here. Now what we're going to do is move this little slider across until we go onto velocity. Now you can see that each one of these little sections denotes a velocity range. So up to 10 velocity, plays this sound. Up to 21, plays this sound, etc. So now let's turn on a arpeggiator and a total random device, and let's play this back. Essentially what this device is, it's randomizing each 16th. So the arpeggiator is triggering every 16th, and then the total random device is randomizing that velocity from 1 to 127. So essentially all of this range. So then now that we play the back, we will randomize a hit on every one of these sounds. So let's now extend these branches out all the way. Let's turn down the effects. I don't quite like the effects going there. It's too busy, I think, with those. There is one that I don't like. Which one is that? This one, I think. No? That one. Let's play that back now with a bit of kick and bass. So I think it'll be a case of sampling a bit of that out and then sequencing it as it works in the track. Although what we can do, I quite like this sound. quite like that. After adjusting the tonality or atonality, we can then select this, and then we can do, on here we can do plant chosen seed, and now all of that becomes the basis of the new seed. So some of them work and some of them don't, so it's a case of really finding the ones that don't work and then backing them back out, or just modifying the sound a bit, like that. Maybe add a bit of global delay to that. Let's do the send. So as you can see, it's very easy to get distracted because it makes it so easy just to create random sounds. But am I being productive, or am I just having fun creating random sounds? I think that depends entirely on the user's workflow. So in terms of the verdict, what do I think? There's no denying that it's a novel approach. I think we have way too many virtual analog synths already. Like, how many Moog recreations do we need? You know, is one really that different to the other? I know people with oscilloscopes will say, yes, yeah, they're vastly different. But they're not really, are they? So I applaud it for taking a completely new approach to synthesis, and there's no denying the impressiveness of this Geno patch functionality. It's hugely impressive. But that leads me to a bit of a quandary. It's quite expensive at 150 euros, so it's not a synth for everyone based on that, and I will consider it very much a luxury, just for something that you've come home from work and you've got, really don't have the energy, but you just want to click around and find random sounds. Then I think this is the perfect tool for the job. But because it's a luxury, it will be a struggle to pay 150 euros for it. I'm not doubting the amount of work that went into it and the amount of time it's gone in to creating this artificial intelligence algorithm. I imagine that was months, if not years of work. But regardless, I don't think it's that much of a necessity for my workflow that I would pay 150 euros for it. But if you love a joint, then I have no doubt you'll love this synth. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.